Hey, this is Jim Larson, and welcome to the Focus Initiative podcast, where our goal is simple. Let's get better together every single day. Each week, I'll offer real practical advice and rockstar interviews for everyday people to empower them to stop mindlessly drifting through life and start taking ownership of every awesome thing. And we can't do that if we're not focused. This is the Focus Initiative. In our last episode, we talked about how it often takes the burn from the status quo screwing us to wake us up and make us aware to think for ourselves about what we truly want out of life. One line of thinking I love from that episode is that some of us go through life and never get burned. We do what's expected of us, and it all kind of works out at least well enough that we don't question it. But just because we didn't get burned doesn't necessarily mean that we're happy and fulfilled. That's the most dangerous position to be in if you're wanting to live a life of meaning and purpose and joy and passion. Life gives you just enough that you learn to be content, even if there's so much more that would make you so much happier. See, we try to avoid the burn, the pain, the bottom falling out, the wheels falling off, but it's often that place when what we build comes crashing down, that spark, sometimes for the first time ever, where we wonder if the thing we were building was even something we wanted to build. Stephen Covey says it this way: if the ladder's leaning against the wrong wall, then every step just gets us to the wrong place faster. This is why you can bust your ass climbing the ladder, doing everything that you're told you should do, doing everything that you're told is going to bring meaning and security and success, and you can do all those things, and then you get to the top of the ladder and you realize, wait a minute, I arrived at the place I've been pushing my whole life to get to, and this was supposed to be awesome and fulfilling and finally make me happy and complete, but all I feel is empty and let down and stuck and maybe also awake for the first time ever and finally positioned to ask the right questions. Is the ladder even leaning against the right wall? Who are you? How are you wired? What makes you feel successful or fulfilled or happy? What do you dream of? And if you've forgotten how to dream in the middle of life's chaos, what did you used to dream of? I do live workshops based on my book Green Ninja, and I'll share the reason for that title in a later episode. But in these workshops, I take people through a core value study. We dig deep into the things that are truly and uniquely important to each of us, not the person sitting next to us or across from us or sharing a bed or a house with us, not the things we think are supposed to be important to us, but what are the values that are authentically and really and truly important to us when we remove the filters of fulfilling everyone else's expectations? So I give people like 50 super nice sounding words like loyalty, creativity, faith, fun, courage, perseverance, family, patriotism, humor, positivity, honesty, and the list goes on. And a lot of the words are synonyms and they're all really good things. I make people narrow the list down and choose 3 values that in their hearts and minds, life would literally not be worth living without. Like, God, take me now if I don't have these 3 things in my life. And I make them narrow it down to 3. Now remember, all of these words are good things that we all want all of in our lives, but it's important to narrow it down because if everything is important, then nothing is important. If our lens is wide, we can't focus on anything in particular. And while this is the Focus Initiative, so obviously I'm a big fan of focus, I always ask how many moms are in the room because I find moms deal with something unique to their role called mom guilt. I'm married 12 years to an amazing woman, and we have 3 kids, so I watch her deal with this mom guilt thing all the time. And mom guilt twists the arm of moms to fit family into their top 3 core values, even if it might not be, because in their minds, what kind of a mom doesn't have family as a core value? And so I need to remind my people to give themselves permission for this short period of time to ignore the external expectations and dig deep into themselves. And I get all of the whining. People want to choose 5 or they want to choose 10. And I'm like, nope, just 3. Narrow it to 3. Then I have them imagine that a third party auditor looked deeper at their life than an IRS audit. This no name ghost like auditor has access to not just look at where they spend their time and their money, not just your social media profiles, but this auditor has access to your thoughts and your wishes and your secret conversations and your conversations with yourself and the longings of your heart. Now, you've narrowed down what your core values are. But what would this auditor think your core values were if they were able to read your thoughts and your heart and looked at where you spent your time and where your money was going and the conversations that you were having? See, often there's a disconnect between the way we're wired and the way we're living, which is what causes such dissonance and dissatisfaction in our lives. See, my core values personally are courage, faith, and fun. For me, if you took those things away, life would not be worth living. I don't even joke about it. I'm probably in the top 10 of the most fun people you will ever meet in your life. I'm the guy that wants a DJ in every corner of every room I walk into because we are going to have a party and it is going to be epic. And when I'm having fun, man, I am filling my cup, charging my batteries, clicking on all cylinders. Why? Because that's a core value of mine. And when any of us are living in our core values, it's fulfilling in a deep and fundamental way. I love my family dearly, but family didn't make my top 3 core values. It doesn't mean that family is less important to me than courage, faith, and fun. What it means is that I am better for my family when I'm operating out of courage, faith, and fun. I'm a better husband and a better dad when I'm operating in a place that requires courage, when I'm showing the power that comes from having faith in the unseen, and when I'm throwing a party that will be talked about for a decade. If you took away those core values, my kids would see a dad that was depressed and anxious and sad and needed to medicate himself with addictions to drugs or alcohol or food or staring at my iPhone or watching sports all day. I love my family, but in order for me to be who my family needs me to be, I need to be living in my core values. For some people, family truly is a core value, and their batteries are charged and filled by spending time with their families, and that is freaking awesome. I just have to remind my mommy followers not to force square pegs into round holes and try to pretend that it's a core value when it isn't. Because if you do that, you're not being who your family needs you to be. See, this core value stuff often reveals a lot about why we haven't hit goals that we've set and reset and can't seem to gain ground on. I mean, if your core values are love, creativity, and loyalty, don't sit around and wonder why you just aren't really finding the time to get the abs of the dude on the cover of Men's Fitness magazine. It's not even that you can't achieve that. It's that deep in your subconscious, that goal really isn't that important to you. So while you think you want it, you're subconsciously resisting it at the same time. Watch what happens when you start setting goals that line up with those things that are desperately and passionately linked to the very fabric of your wiring. It gets crazy fun. And until then, when you're still pursuing things completely unaware of how you are wired to operate, what's truly important to you, and what it is you genuinely want from life, when you're in that place, you're squeezing square pegs into round holes, wondering why your life just isn't lining up. You're not being the person you were created to be. You're literally being someone else, and you're not doing a great job of it. You're working really hard, and you're not having very much fun at all. It's exhausting to try and continually operate outside of our values. And you wonder why you're tired all the time. Often we're not tired from doing too much. We're tired from spending so much time doing crap we ultimately don't believe in. We spend 90 minutes in the car mindlessly listening to music from the decade we grew up in because it's an escape that takes us back to a place in life when we felt free and happy. And we show up at a job that at best we tolerate and force ourselves to be content in because, well, I guess it could be worse. And at worst, it's a job we outright hate, surrounded by people we don't like or respect. And then we make that ugly commute home just to eat dinner, crash on the couch while the TV yells at us, and fall asleep just to go do it again tomorrow. Even saying that made me tired. It exhausted me. And you do that every day with your whole life and wonder why you're tired all the time. It's not that you're working too hard. It's that you're not working on the things that are important to you. Switch it for 1 second in your mind. Pretend your time is spent on something that you're desperately passionate about, that's taking all of your gifts and ability and talents and putting them to use on a project that's changing lives and delivering value and meaning to people. When you're in that place and you're clicking on all cylinders, you are not tired. You are not looking for a break or for balance or for a vacation or a drink or a distraction or a numbing agent. You are operating in your core value zone and doing what you were wired and created to do. I've owned a couple dogs in my life, and both of them were bird hunting dogs. I owned a Vizsla named Spartan and a French Brittany named Patchogue. And I know that name sounds weird. It's actually the Native American name of the state forest I grew up in on the outskirts of in Connecticut. Now, I had these dogs trained to hunt birds, and I hunted with them, competed with them at times. And let me tell you something. As much as maybe they liked being part of the family and around the house, there was no joy in the face, expression, drive, and spirit of those dogs like them when they were out in the field doing what they were made to do. At home, they'd play and they'd nap and they'd fit in and do what they needed to do in order to get to the end of the day. If it was raining out and I opened the door to let them go potty outside, they'd whine about going out unless I came out with them. The rain at home presented a big obstacle to them. But when they were in the field, they weren't thinking about napping. They weren't wanting to be home with the kids to cuddle and play ball. They were roaring on all cylinders, and there were no obstacles. Rain, snow, lakes, creeks, thorns, branches, trees, none of it even mattered. They didn't even notice obstacles. Nothing was hard. Nothing was uncomfortable because they were alive. We only look for balance and numbing agents and vacations when our lives are sucking life from our spirits. We're like herding dogs or hunting dogs or rescue dogs that are wired specifically and then forced into a life of 2 walks a day and hours of napping on couches. But, well, since everyone else is doing it, we settle into a forced contentment. Never quite happy, but unsure if happy even exists. Oh, it does. And it's awesome. And it can be awesome for you. And that's where we're going. Guys, this is the Focus Initiative. So this doesn't need to be the only place we hang out. You can follow me on Facebook or Instagram at Meet Jim Larson. You just have to spell my last name right. That's Larsen. My blog and my live events are always up on my website, meetjimlarson.com. Again, that's Larson with an E, which apparently is super hard for people to remember. Until next week, friends, let's go kick ass.